Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. Today's topic is the northwest and the southeast parts or directions of India are going to experience a heavy planetary activation which can result in major disturbances in these directions. We will see why we are saying this and how we are arriving at this conclusion using sidereal Vedic astrology. Now, this is the chart on 29th March 2025. I have taken the place as Jammu and Kashmir in India. Now, if you see the planetary positions on this day, you can see Sun, Saturn, Mercury, Moon, Neptune, Venus, Rahu all are present in the sign of Pisces or Mean. Jupiter is present in the sign of Taurus with Uranus shown by UR and JU, and Mars is present in the sign of Gemini or Mithun shown by the letters MA. And you can see all these planets are aspecting Ketu shown by the purple lines in the left hand side chart. So one thing from this which is very clear is that the Pisces Virgo axis is heavily activated. Now what is Pisces? Pisces is a water sign. It represents oceans, water bodies. It is the last sign of the zodiac. It represents spirituality, expenses, losses, isolation. And what is Virgo? Virgo is the sign of conflicts. It is the sign of healing. It is the sign of debates. It is the sign of perfection. And it is an earth sign. So based on this, one more conclusion is that the water sign is heavily activated. That is the sign of Pisces. And it influences the earth sign of Virgo with Ketu present in it. Ketu always represents some kind of loss. It represents detachment. It represents moving away from things. It represents instability. Wherever Ketu is, there is a certain level of dissatisfaction. Now, what does Jupiter in Taurus represent? Jupiter in Taurus represents the economy. Mars in an Aries sign of Gemini represents fire, disruptions in air traffic, possible flight delays, cyber attacks. All this is seen by Mars in Gemini. Now what is Ketu? Ketu is about detachment. Ketu does not have a head. Ketu carries a sword in his hand, which is symbolic of Ketu cutting off things suddenly or detaching you from the things you are most attached to. Now when Ketu gets the aspect of Mars, it can indicate terrorist activities, it can indicate bomb blasts, it can indicate riots, and it can indicate other headless activities done by the negative side of Mars, that is dacoits, terrorists, insurgents. So in a way, the earth element is also heavily activated because of this, and Mars aspecting Ketu here can show some kind of such disruptive activities. It can also show earthquakes and it can also show terrorist activities. But in India's chart, it activates the 511 axis. That is, Virgo is the 5th house and Pisces is the 11th house. And Jupiter also aspects Ketu. Now, one question that came to my mind is, why are so many planets aspecting Ketu? Why are so many planets giving their energy to Ketu? It is like all the gods combine their energy together, and from that goddess Durga comes to destroy evil on the earth. Similarly, here all the planets are combining and giving their energy to Ketu, indicating that some kind of divine force has now come into play, which will start large scale destruction to later on bring good into this earth. So somewhere this Mars and other planets all aspecting Ketu is symbolic of some kind of war starting in the Middle East very soon. Because the southeast region of India is heavily activated, the eastern regions are also heavily activated. So the Middle East region somehow gets activated here, and I see some countries like Iran, Syria, Saudi Arabia, all these countries somehow getting embroiled into a war with the Western world. Now, in India, because the earth sign of Virgo is heavily activated and it is an earthy sign which represents agriculture, which represents farmers, which represents protests. So, India could see disruptions such as farmers' protests, earthquakes happening in the southeast region of India, example Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, those directions, or even disruptions due to terrorists as well as youth protests because fifth house represents the youth of the country. So some kind of disruption is seen in the southeast direction of India. The Middle East region of this world can get embroiled into a major war now with Iran being the point of focus. But you can see more planets are present in the northern side, that is in the sign of Pisces, which represents north and northwest directions. So the regions such as Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Himachal Pradesh, those regions, the water element is heavily activated. And this can indicate water related disasters such as floods, dams breaking, or even diseases coming through water. So, on the northwest side of India, the water element is very heavily activated. On the world front, as I explained earlier, this indicates the activation of naval wars. But for India, this could indicate activation of floods and water related disasters in the north and northwest regions. Now, one more thing is the 29th March 2025 is the date when Saturn transits into Pisces. It is also the date of Amavasya. So there is a Shani Amavasya and there is also a solar eclipse that follows. So too many things are happening in the sign of Pisces which heavily activates the water element, which heavily activates the ocean, which heavily activates river bodies. But now, will all things happen on 29th March itself? No. 29th March 2025 is the trigger point. That is when things start changing drastically. So till now there is a lot of peace in the world. The Israel-Hamas war, there was a ceasefire, but it may not be successful. Similarly, I see a big conflict starting in the Middle East region, mainly the country of Iran very soon. Now remember, eclipses are the trigger points. It is not that everything happens on the day of the eclipse itself. This planetary placement is very unique in the sense that it involves a Saturn transit into the sign of Pisces after 30 years. More than 6-7 planets come in Pisces. All planets aspect Ketu, which is a very unique combination which does not occur in several thousand years. Now, if you see the Sun, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, all these are caught in the Rahu-Ketu axis on 29th March 2025. And when Sun is in this axis, it indicates political instability, wrong decisions by the government, which can trigger large-scale wars going forward. So this is not a good time for the world. Post 29th March 2025, things will change very drastically. I also see major action from China because this is the third house of action for China. That is the sign of Pisces. So China is definitely going to make some big moves and we will get to see that very soon post 29th March 2025. So for India, the northern regions namely Jammu and Kashmir, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh. Those are highly sensitive regions in this time. And some action from the neighboring countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, some disruption there is also seen big time post 29th March 2025. The Indian military may also come into sudden action in this time due to the disruptions in the northwest regions of India. Since Ketu in the fifth house in India's chart is receiving multiple aspects, fifth house is the investments, the stock market for a country, and the youth for the country. So, here, large scale downfall in the stock market is seen with so many planets aspecting Ketu, and this could be because of global events. So, it is a time to be careful, to be cautious, don't be afraid, but it is a time to be cautious. You will see all these elements coming into play, all these disruptions coming into play very soon. And though this may sound very negative right now, this is what the astrological positions clearly show. And I think it is my duty to bring this forward to you. So friends, I'll conclude this video here. Note that Ketu in the Virgo sign and the Pisces sign getting heavily activated shows some kind of spiritual awakening happening, which is also a very good thing for the earth. Now, if you like this video, do mark it as liked on YouTube. You can email us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com, or you can reach us through our website astroseva.tripod.com.